So no judge should frankly be allowed to make that kind of a decision.
If you sleep each night soundly and safely in your bed, well, good for you. But I'm about to change that. If you've been paying attention, Trump, Musk, MAGA have decided that the slim majority they have in Congress gives them carte blanche to cut, slash, fire, and demand that the government be run by their standards, which is basically no ethical, moral, or responsible standards at all. Here's how weird it is. Trump announced that he is now head of the Kennedy Center and today canceled the Gay Men's Chorus concert, which he'll probably replace with Kid Rock and the Oath Keepers. And we're only a month into this nightmare. But that's not what should be worrying you. I'll get to that in a second. But first, a quick reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hey, it's fun, easy, and free. It's like watching Dairy Queen try and do her taxes. Here's where we are. What you're looking at is a court order where Trump has just told a federal judge he will not comply with the court's order to resume funding for U.S. aid and State Department foreign assistance. Last Thursday, U.S. District Judge Amir Ali wrote in a filing for the U.S. District Court from the District of Columbia that the Trump administration must unfreeze foreign assistance payments to U.S. aid and State Department grantees. But Trump responded by saying, no, I'll continue to keep the freeze on the funds for both U.S. aid and state. So basically it's this. Trump has informed a federal judge he won't comply with a court order to resume funding for U.S. aid and State Department foreign assistance programs. This defiance follows other executive actions aimed at dismantling U.S. aid, which is basically America First bullshit, letting children die from AIDS while Musk, Zuckerberg, and Bezos can build more homes in Hawaii. But that isn't what this story is about.
No judge should frankly be allowed to make that kind of a decision.
Trump has repeatedly ignored legitimate subpoenas from Congress and instructed others to do so as well. And we all know what Trump did on January the 6th. He was universally condemned for trying to overthrow an election. But 4 years later, he won the election and now is openly defying Congress and the courts by speaking of a third term.
I've raised a lot of money for the next race that I assume I can't use for myself, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't know. I think I'm not allowed to run again. I'm not sure. Am I allowed to run again?
Which is, of course, an open defiance of the Constitution. So how far will this pungent cockwaffle go?
Trump recorded a video expressing solidarity with the mob that attacked the Capitol on January 6th. He did that earlier this week. And then on Saturday, seemingly out of nowhere, called for the suspension of the Constitution.
As Trump defies the courts, you have to ask yourself the very question that Andrew Jackson, Trump's favorite president, once posed when confronted by a Supreme Court decision on how the U.S. should deal with Native Americans. Jackson believed that the executive and legislative branches had the same rights as the judicial branch to interpret the Constitution, so he refused to enforce the Supreme Court ruling and ordered the relocation of the Cherokee people, which led to the Trail of Tears. And he was rumored to say of the court's power, John Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it. So you see why Trump likes him. But let me ask you this. What if Trump tells all the judges to fuck off?
I mean, we are on the edge of a dark precipice where the rule of law doesn't exist, at least at the federal level. And that, I don't think people fully understand that yet.
That's conservative lawyer George Conway laying out a scenario that would have seemed far-fetched until recently. But it's taking on fresh significance given this judge's determination that the administration already is defying his orders and is accused in a second case involving suspended U.S. aid workers of also defying a court order. In this case, though, Rhode Island Chief Federal Judge John McConnell Jr. has already made his determination and issued a warning in the form of a citation at the very top of today's ruling. It reads, quote, "Persons who make private determinations of the law and refuse to obey an order generally risk criminal contempt, even if the order is ultimately ruled incorrect." He does not, however, say what will happen if the defendant on the president's order simply says, "No, make me," which not even Richard Nixon did during Watergate, but which this president's statement suggests is a possibility. Here he is on a radio broadcast tonight.
Judges should be ruling. They shouldn't be dictating what you're supposed to be doing.
The president is saying judges should be ruling, but somehow not saying anything in their rulings about what the people they're ruling on should do.
All of that is interesting, but what can a judge do really? Or as Andrew Jackson said, how will they enforce it? Who has the planes, the tanks, and the guns? Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, Nancy Pelosi, or these guys?
Fuck these Democrats! Stand back and stand by.
Mark Twain once said America's greatest defense is the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. And then he was right. But the greatest loss of life for American soldiers wasn't the Revolutionary War or the War of 1812. It wasn't the First War or the Second. It wasn't Korea or Vietnam. It was this.
Oh, I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there are not. forgotten.
So I'll ask again, how far will he go if we don't stop him?
Goddamn right.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes!
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.